Populate, ping a couple of friends in. All right, welcome to the room. This is Music News at Noon on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. Today we're going to look at breaking industry news, today's headlines, and what's going on in music technology. We'll be starting our program in just a few moments. Remember that you can ask your friends to join the conversation. And if you'd like to share your thoughts on any of today's topics, you can request to come to the stage and join the discussion. We are also live on the video stream, so you can not only listen to us, but you can also view us in real time. You can also follow along with all the headlines in today's news from our website. Head to musicindustrycity.com and click on today's Music News at Noon post. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to be starting here in just a moment with our countdown and our headlines of the day. Make sure that you follow the host and the club, and if you're on our live stream, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You can also register for free at musicindustrycity.com to gain access to a multitude of other incredible content for musicians and music industry professionals. Stay tuned with us. Make sure you ping your friends into the room. We're going to be starting our countdown and going into our headlines shortly. Welcome to the news.
All right, from New York, it's the Music News at Noon on the Music Industry City Broadcast Network. I'm Peter Schwing. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Eli Window. Eli.
Hello, Peter. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show.
All right, Angela should be joining us in just a little bit. I know she has a studio session, so let's talk about what we're going to be covering today at De La Soul. Their music is finally coming to streaming services after all these years. Fortet takes Domino to court. Bonnaroo COVID precautions, live music backtracks from recovery, and how about an AI that writes lyrics for you? And as always, our daily Spotify update. Those stories are coming up. But first, let's take a look at this day in music history with Eli Window. Eli.
All right, thanks, Peter. Let's take a look at this day in music history. On August 11th, 2008, we lost Don Helms, a steel guitarist best known as the steel guitar player of Hank Williams' Drifting Cowboys. He died aged 81 in memory. Let's move on to birthdays. Born on this date, 1943, Dennis Payton, sax from English pop rock band Dave Clark 5. And born this date, 1954, UK singer and songwriter Joe Jackson. Born on this date in 1976, Ben Gibbard, singer with Death Cab for Cutie. And born on this date, 1978, Chris Kelly, Criss Cross. The duo of Chris Smith and Chris Kelly were 12 and 13 when they recorded their song. Happy birthday. Moving on to this day in music history. On August 11th, 1966, at a press conference held at the Astor Towers Hotel in Chicago, John Lennon apologized for his remarks that the Beatles were more popular than Jesus. Lennon told reporters, quote, "Look, I wasn't saying the Beatles are better than God or Jesus. I just said Beatles because it's easy for me to talk about the Beatles. I could have said TV or cinema, motor cars, or anything, and I would have got away with it." On this date, 1979, Led Zeppelin played their last ever UK show when they appeared at Knebworth House, England. And on this date, 2011, the Go-Go's received the 2,444th star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Stars all around for everyone. That's it for this day in music history. Back over to you, Peter.
All right, on. Thanks for that, Eli. All right, so what do we have to set the stage for the conversation? We bring you summaries and commentary on the latest headlines. If you'd like to offer your thoughts on one of today's topics, request to join the stage as we're doing the read. I'd also like to say hi to everyone that is viewing the show on our video live stream, which is Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and directly from the website. And to stay up to date on this and all of other programming, you can sign up at musicindustrycity.com for more news, articles, and events. Now let's get to it. And this first one is from Brooklyn Vegan. To access all the articles mentioned in today's show and throughout the week, visit musicindustrycity.com and view today's Music News at Noon post, so you can see the links to all the articles we're referencing. And this one, a lot of people are rejoicing. De La Soul announced their music is finally coming to streaming services this year. Talib Kweli had leaked the news earlier this week, but the group themselves had not made a statement until today, which they did on Instagram Live. Tricoli said that thanks to the deal with Reservoir Media, who acquired the catalog of De La Soul's former label Tommy Boy Records, that their music would be back on streaming services in 2021, probably in November. De La Soul released 6 albums on Tommy Boy, including 3 Feet High and Rising, and De La Soul is Dead, and Stakes is Hot. We are happy that he said that. That's as simple as that. We are very happy. That was like the quote. I'm sure they are so relieved. There's been so much ongoing over the years, the battle, and when Tommy Boy reacquired De La Soul's catalog, De La Soul also said it is not just the old catalog. Quote, we have 20 more years on the books, including working on a Pete Rock premiere project. So you can see the video in the link to the article. There is the video of their announcement. All right, moving over to more label discussions. Well, Fortet, and this one's from Music Radar. Fortet takes Domino Recordings to court over streaming royalties. And this ties in a little bit with De La Soul here. So Kieran Hebden, better known as Fortet, has filed a lawsuit against his former company, Domino Recordings. Hebden claims that Domino's royalty rates on a number of albums and EPs published in the early 2000s are in breach of contract. The deal, signed in 2001, specifies that the producer is titled to an 18% royalty on vinyl, cassettes, and CD sales. Domino has been applying this pricing to streaming and downloads that are not explicitly listed in the contract since the beginning of streaming services. The case presented by Hebden and his lawyers contend that Domino should pay a 50% increase in royalty rates for streaming and downloads. Hebden is seeking up to £70,000 in damages plus fees, as well as a court ruling on the royalties rate. The historic allegation follows the Department of Digital, Culture and Media and Sports Committee's call for revenues to be split 50-50 between artists and labels. The judgment may have broader ramification for the music industry and set a precedent for future lawsuits, which will undoubtedly follow. The interesting thing here is, like, we didn't know what streaming was. There was really no such thing as this, Spotify, and this goes back to kind of ties in a little bit with De La Soul. The discussions with De La Soul were partly that, well, you have all these samples and we have to clear for streaming. And there was no less streaming discussion, so now that was part of the discussions. That's what De La Soul was talking about a lot. Like, they were very vocal throughout the past few years over this. So, but it's something that's in the contract. I mean, future is like the contracts now. Like everything has to say all future technologies possibly ever to come in perpetuity, and in the universe
to any part of the galaxy.
Right, yeah. So when they say, like, in universe, it's like the universe means something completely different now. It actually means the entire universe. So. All right, let's move on to some live stuff. This is from Variety. Bonnaroo Festival to require vaccination or proof of negative COVID test for entry. Bonnaroo, which takes place in Tennessee over Labor Day weekend, issued an extensive statement on its website detailing the extensive precautions organizers are taking. You can view the entire statement in the article, but here are some of the key takeaways. Within 14 days before attending the festival, you have tested positive or been exposed to someone who has tested positive for COVID-19. Or within 48 hours prior to attending the festival, you have experienced symptoms of COVID-19. Within 14 days to attending the festival, you have traveled to international territory identified by federal federal, or applicable state or local governments as being subject to travel or quarantine advisory due to COVID-19. They also have the Bonnaroo health verification, and what they're saying is to present a valid ID and proof of vaccination or negative COVID-19 test within the past 72 hours to any campground medical tent and receive a health check wristband. If you forgot your test or you lost your Vax card, they'll have COVID-19 rapid antigen testing available at any of the Plaza medical tents for $40. They also have a positive test protocol. Should someone test positive on site, they will be giving a second complimentary test for confirmation. Medical staff will notify the individual of their test status, remove their festival wristband, and provide them with the pre-printed cards for instructions on how to request a refund for their ticket. And patrons who test positive are not allowed to remain on the site and will be asked to collect their belongings and exit the site immediately. I mean, this is only part of it. I mean, there's more to this. And these are the type of things that concerts, festivals are having to do. And it's for precautions, because this next article is going to be a list. This is from IQ Mag, and this one's called COVID Puts the Brakes on Big U.S. Recovery. And this is, we're going to put things into perspective here. This is going to cover we're just going to go right through this and talk about the cancellations and a few other key points here. So a number of concerts, festivals, and tours in the U.S. have been canceled or postponed in the last week amid concerns over the spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19. So to put things in perspective, New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival was officially canceled. The 2021 edition was rescheduled in January to October. Artists, I think I have something here. Oh, that's I just had a text come up and I thought it was something that. So, artists include Michael Bublé, Limp Bizkit, Randy Bachman, and Burton Cummins have postponed or canceled late summer and early August 2021 dates. Michael Bublé announced the postponement of a string of August shows to the second half of October. Limp Bizkit has also announced the cancellation of their remaining August tour dates. Canadian artists Randy Bachman and Burton Cummins have followed suit, announcing that the U.S. leg of their tour has been canceled again. Counting Crows pulled out of their Boston show mere hours before they were due on stage after a member of the band's touring party tested positive for COVID-19. And this all comes with the growing concerns about artists' health and safety while gigging during the pandemic, which have been validated by a slate of cancellations due to touring members testing positive. So we even saw Lynyrd Skynyrd postponed 4 upcoming performances on their tour after guitarist Ricky Medlock tested positive. Sebastian Bach also announced he had tested positive after several shows and days earlier. Fall Out Boy pulled out of their spots on the Hella Mega Tour in Boston, New York, and Washington. I mean, do you see? This is serious. This is like we're going backwards from opening, but it's for good reasons. I mean, this is health and safety. Live Nation announced it is allowing artists performing at its U.S. venues to require all attendees and staff to be fully vaccinated or to show a negative test result to gain entry where permitted by law. And New York goes back a couple weeks. New York became the first major city to require proof of being vaccinated for anyone who wants to attend an indoor live show. I mean, this is all within the last week. And this is the big reason why. The U.S. is averaging more than 124,000 new virus cases each day, more than double the level of 2 weeks ago, and the highest rate since February. And that's according to the New York Times. And the current surge in new COVID-19 cases in the country, which are at the highest rates. So, I mean, Stevie Nicks, she's like, I don't want anybody to get sick. I also have to, look at myself. I'm older. And, things like, we have to look at this health, and this is something serious. I mean, there was one, I saw an article headline earlier, I was just scrolling through it. It was like, they talk about the Texas governor was asking for now help after he royally effed up, by opening up Texas earlier and letting people have all these. And now they're putting tents outside of hospitals. Wasn't this last summer? Wasn't this what was going on last summer? When we had that initial surge? I mean, this Delta variant is like, just tearing through everything. And while they're saying it's not reporting as many deaths, it is reporting like the long-term effects of it. There's not the long-term, but people are saying they're very sick. And we just lost, Jin Yu was just, he just died from complication. I mean, this is serious. This is, when people are saying we need to open up, we need to open up, we need to open up, and you hear like, oh, live music is back. We got to be careful. Anybody have some thoughts on this?
Well, and I just want to add briefly to Peter that some sources are reporting at this time that more children are being hospitalized with COVID with this wave and with this variant than we were seeing at this time last summer. And so keep in mind too that one of the reasons that we really need to keep an eye on public health is because kids under 12 can't be vaccinated, even if their parents or they would like for that vaccination to be administered. So just definitely keep an eye on. And two breaking news this week, just in from New York, where vaccine proof is required to get into many restaurants, establishments, performance venues, and gyms. This just in also from the Blue Note, New York City, that all musicians, guests, and staff will be required to be vaccinated. And so that is a statement that has been issued by the Blue Note publicly. So check out your local venues and their policies before going out, because things definitely are changing day by day. Make sure that you stay current, and if necessary, just give a quick call to your venue before you go next time to eat dinner or to see a performance, and see what the changing requirements have become since the last time you heard.
Right on. Yeah, I mean, we're going to see a lot more of this, and we're seeing in different countries are having different results, and it's, be careful. The other thing, just, you don't want to get too deep into it, but, talk about, like, was it in Florida? Was it Florida? The governor is saying if for any school that has a mask mandate, he's going to pull funding for them. I mean, way to politicize funding for children. Okay, then they can't get vaccinated. They can be carriers. The Delta variant is breaking through vaccinated people. All right. And he's saying, well, I'm not going to fund schools. I'm going to take away kids' education if you force them to wear masks. Yeah. And you know what they're good at? They're saying, well, we can't enforce it. It's too tough. Well, you can enforce girls wearing shorts and spaghetti straps. You're good at that and expelling students for that. But you can't enforce something that's actually healthy, that is good for the population, for the greater good of being healthy and spreading a disease. So I just don't buy any of that.
Well, yeah, we mandate no shoes, no shirt, no service at a lot of establishments, just simply for public health. And imagine the places where pets are not allowed to go, even service animals. For example, you don't typically see service animals in a grocery store necessarily, or in the kitchen of a restaurant necessarily. And so think about all the places where it isn't sanitary for an animal to go, and all the places where there are sanitation regulations in place and have been for generations. And then perhaps just consider that some of these mandates are just one more sanitation requirement that will help keep us safe, hopefully.
Right on. Well, Eli, let's stick with you, because I know we are going to. Actually, you know something? I'm going to go over to this one, and then we're going to come back over to you, because I know Angela's running late. She's stuck in a session, so I'm going to take this, and then we're going to kick back over to Eli. Okay, Metrofest. So this is, some of the effects of COVID, but also a new concert. This was in the UK, and it's from Complete Music Update. Metrofest promoters hit back at criticism of their first event, including a headliner. Organizers of the new music festival in London would stage its first edition last week and hit back at criticism made about the event by one of its headliners, Blackstreet, who were among a number of acts to bail on the festival at the last minute. There was a flurry of criticism on social media about the event that took place last weekend. Some complained that the festival opened the gates at its North London site later than advertised, and that as a result, stages were running behind schedule all day. Others criticized general bad organization and customer communications. All right, so yeah, I mean, that happens, especially if it's your first concert, first festival. But, let's look into this about some of the COVID what the implications of this is having on events. So there was a lot of criticism centered on the changes to the lineup, with 4 of the 8 advertised headliners not performing. Eve had canceled her performance at the event earlier in the week, and on the day, Blackstreet, Maya, and Tony Touch all failed to turn up. Fat Man Scoop, who had been billed as MC for the proceeding, didn't arrive on stage until 7 p.m., and a Bobby V set was only 10 minutes long. Responding to one critical ticket buyer on social media, Fat Man Scoop stated, "What you don't know is how bad it was for the artists. I did not show up at 7 p.m. for no reason. Trust me, you guys have no idea what happened on the other side of this." For Blackstreet and Maya, it seemed that there were problems around the COVID tests that were required, both to perform and for the artists to subsequently return to the U.S. In their own social media post, Blackstreet reported that Metrofest organizers were terribly disorganized and had refused to give us, this is a quote, refused to give us our COVID test results to go back to the States. In an official statement, the event promoters denied those claims, although did acknowledge the logistical issues on site that led to the festival running behind schedule and cutting short Bobby V's set. So the key takeaways, I mean, you can read the entire response here in the article, and that you can get from musicindustrycity.com. Click on today's Music News at Noon post, and then all the links to all the headlines here. So the key takeaways from this official statement include, quote, "Unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond our control, Blackstreet and Maya, who was scheduled to appear on the main stage, refused to perform at Metrofest. It is also very disappointing that Blackstreet have since released an 18-minute video on their social media accounts containing false accusations in an attempt to shift the blame onto Metrofest team. Blackstreet and Maya were fully paid for their set at the festival but refused to leave their hotel, citing that their COVID test results were unavailable." The statement goes on to say, quote, "We can categorically confirm that the documentation was sent to both artists. This is part of the same documentation provided by us for them to gain entry into the UK. We have fulfilled all of our contractual obligations and completely refute the false allegations in the video. To be clear," it continues, "Metrofest has copies of all the artists' test results in compliance with UK government regulations, which were arranged and paid for privately by our team. All artists were emailed the results." So, I mean, this is, it goes into a he said, she said, he said. It's like, what one person, one team is saying this, the other team saying that. I mean, we don't know, but, it goes on. All these factors, organizers then say, along with unseasonal weather, unforeseen artists, travel logistics, and need to comply with transport for London regulations around the site, affected traffic and delayed performers appearing at the scheduled event. Metrofest sincerely apologizes for the show running late, which led to Bobby V's time being cut short. And regarding separate criticisms that some ticket holders couldn't get onto the festival site, the statement continues, "To address the situation surrounding ticket holders that were refused entry due to late arrival, unfortunately, ticket holders were not allowed entrance after 5 p.m. due to our license. This was communicated in our terms and conditions to ticket holders in advance. Nevertheless, because of the various issues, quote, we obtained authorization and closed the doors at 6 p.m., giving everyone an extra hour." All right, so there's a lot going on. I mean, first time festival, concert. I mean, that's you're going to have, you're going to have a bunch of. I've worked on these things. The first time there's going to be some logistical issues. Don't ever put put it into the terms and conditions, buried in the terms and conditions, what time the gates close. I mean, nobody reads the terms and conditions. It's like reading the privacy policy. You want Facebook? Yeah, go read, or Apple, the Apple app, go read that 30-page privacy policy terms and conditions. Go for it and say, hey, I don't agree to any of this, and then still press the I agree button. So yeah, that's one thing. If you have cutoff times, make sure you do that. But I mean, if they're saying they followed UK protocol, and I mean, this is the thing that's going on with COVID. It's like there are so many restrictions and regulations in place that organizers, promoters, producers, artists, they all have to follow. And this is what it could lead to. So hopefully, well, they still got paid, they said. So hopefully that was true. But, it's unfortunate for the fans that missed out. All right, let's check in with Eli.
All right, indeed. Thanks, Peter. Let's check in with me. And we'd like for you to go ahead and check in with your friends as well. So feel free to invite your friends to the show. They can participate in the conversation the same as you by requesting to come to the stage or by commenting in the chat if you're watching us on the video live stream. So you can watch the video live stream right from our website and access other content and articles, including our weekday 3-minute music news podcast, which keeps you up to date on items that may not be covered here in the Music News at Noon, such as new releases, tours, musical chairs, business, and tech news, all in 3 minutes or less. We'd like to thank you so much for tuning in today for the Music News at Noon, each and every Monday through Thursday from New York. Now let's continue on with our headlines. We see German recorded revenues grew 12.4% in the first half of 2021. With more on this headline, over to my co-host, Peter Schwing. Peter?
All right, thank you for that. All right. Yeah, I mean, the Germany market, this is just a quick one, just for people who follow the German market or markets in general and look forward to that annual IFPI global report every year. That's like one of the favorite times of year for many people in the industry. But Germany was an interesting country. And so along with Japan, going into the 2000s, like late 2000s and then into the 2010s up until around 2015-16, because they were holding on to physical so much. And it was really interesting. So I'll just go give you some of the numbers here because you can see the full report in the country profile in the links in the article. So you can go to Music Industry City and click on that. So it talks about German industry body BVM has published the figures for recorded music in the first half of 2021. Revenues grew by 12.4% year on year, which is around 1.6 billion US dollars, with streaming up by nearly 20% to account for 70.6% of the market. All right, so that's the key thing here. Streaming is now almost 71% of the market, and it's not so long ago since Germany was thought as one of the last markets still dominated by physical sales. So the stats are a reminder how quickly it has evolved in recent years. CD sales fell by 16.5% for the first half of the year, while vinyl sales grew 49.5%. I mean, vinyl, it won't go anywhere, and it's still coming back strong. Although the former format still has the upper hand with 14.5% market share. So CDs still have 14.5% market share. It's interesting because in this market, Germany was one of the last, along with Japan, was one of the last few countries to cross the threshold of digital to physical. I mean, while the U.S. was hitting around 60%, Germany was 60% digital. Germany was still at 70% physical. So, and it was the really interesting thing was the surrounding countries in Europe were leaning more towards digital, and Germany was at some point Germany was still 90%, while other countries about physical. And it was really interesting. And one of the things that there's so many different factors involved, and it's about economies and different things. One of the reasons that we spoke to a lot of people, because we had back many years ago, we had actually a seminar on this. I was saying that there was so much credit card theft and digital theft that people didn't want to put their credit card on a website in Germany. And that was one of the biggest reasons why streaming and digital took so long. Cybersecurity. I mean, just think about that. Cybersecurity, credit card theft, online credit card theft, kept an entire country music market in physical product, while the rest of the world, while 95% of the world was already moving over to digital. So just a little takeaway there, just to see like unforeseen influences can have effect where you might not think about it. And Japan, I mean, Japan was such it's a massive market in the power, but it's when it comes to, all of a sudden Japan drops from number 3 to number 5. Well, that's because their 5 top artists were off album cycle. So an entire market could shift just by their top 5 artists. Whereas, UK, US, we have, our top 1%, there's so many in there that you'll see dips, small speed bumps, but entire markets can shift just due to album cycle releases. So, yeah, it's just always interesting. I love this kind of stuff. If there's any other data nerds out there, feel free to jump on up. Let's talk about it. All right. Let's talk about artificial intelligence that can write your own lyrics. Write lyrics for you. And this is one from Music Ally. Researchers create an AI that writes lyrics for your music. And we've seen a fair few startups creating technology to compose music using AI, but what about lyrics? And a team of researchers at the University of Waterloo in Canada have been exploring that challenge. They have created a system called Lyric Jam, which aims to take live instrumental music and create lyrics for it on the fly. It's aimed at supporting musicians rather than replacing them, though. And it goes on to say, quote, the core motivation for this research is not to write a song for the artist, but to inspire the artist's own creativity by suggesting fresh new ideas and expressions that the system generated by hearing the instrumental music played by the artist. And they have been testing with musicians soon. They go on to say participants felt encouraged by the generated lines to improvise. And for example, the lines inspired artists to structure chords a bit differently and take their improvisation in a new direction than originally intended. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Anybody have some thoughts about, I mean, AI can write the music, AI can write the lyrics. We've already seen the Eurovision song. What was that song that came out last year? It's completely generated AI song that, I mean, they tweaked it a little bit. It's like they threw like thousands of songs in, it spit something back, they did a little rearranging, and it was pretty much like the first AI generated song with lyrics based on all of the Eurovision submissions or winners over the course of history. All right, so we're going to continue on our tech here, and this one is Sessions, Tim Westergren's new company. So Sessions takes aim at Spotify with fan-forward artist tools. I am all for anytime we hear artist tools from these platforms. I get excited. I want to see more. I love when they really put stuff out that helps the creator. And when I say creator, we're talking about musicians. We're talking about video creators. We're talking about how this creator economy is really we're going to be hearing the creator economy statement for the next few years. We're going to hear collaborative economy. There's so many wonderful tools for musicians out there that they have at their fingertips, a lot of them even free. And so they can create their own ecosystem and their own world of their music ecosystem. So live streaming music startup Sessions is launching some new tools to help artists build audiences and make money on its service. Branded as Fan Forward, it's partly about the company's own AI-powered marketing technology dubbed Make Noise that, quote, amplifies digital marketing across 54 different ad networks in 195 countries in 18 languages. On Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, and more. But it's also about tools to make money from superfan subscriptions. Atlantic signed Why Don't We have been testing out, and Sessions says that in their first month, they have built a, quote, 7-figure recurring revenue business with their 927 Club membership, which offers fans monthly live streams, behind-the-scenes content, exclusive merch, and virtual meet and greets. Sessions is very clearly taking aim at the current controversies around Spotify's two-sided marketplace, which we talked about the other day, including discovery mode and its marquee ads. Quote, artists do not spend money on Fan Forward. This platform spends money on the artists. Over 3,000 of them every week already is the company's pitch. And you can go to this article and you can check out their podcast interview with Tim Westergren, who opens up a lot on these topics. He really lets loose a little bit. So it's great to hear what he has to say. And we're going to go over more on the tech tip here. Vampr partners with NFT currency platform Yuser. And this is the Australian music tech company, and this is from themusicnetwork.com. They have announced that they have entered a partnership with Yuser, which is a social currency platform that allows users to purchase creative works as NFTs. The partnership will allow Vampr users to link their accounts directly to Yuser, where they can apply to monetize their own content. Through the platform, Vampr users then are able to set up an online wallet for major NFT marketplace OpenSea. The deal comes in the wake of another partnership the company instigated with BeatConnect, which is a new application which lets musicians work together and collaborate remotely in real time. Vampr is also looking to imminently add an array of live streaming tools, and it's what is it? I mean, you got to dig in. It's kind of described as a LinkedIn for musicians. It also, launched its own pro service, which adds digital distribution and sync opportunities to its premium users. So now, again, this is, creator economy where this whole partnership. So I go to BeatConnect, I record I can record something it's kind of like Endless FM, and I can record something with people around the world. I mean, and it's real time We mix it. You can go to an AI, have it mastered. They have all these companies are tying in with NFT platforms. So now you can create this. You can make an NFT of your piece of music. You can put it up, and you can do this in a day. I mean, you can get this down to like, hey, we just recorded this jam, and we made an NFT and put it up on a marketplace same day. Have it mastered, mixed, mastered, recorded. I mean, this is so much fun. I really wish when I was producing, I had these tools. I'm going to start producing again. So I just to do this. I mean, it's really cool. And like the fact that you can add digital distribution in there. I mean, I don't know how well it is. I mean, of course, I'm not using it, but the thing is like the opportunities there. If to be able to, the challenge is learning all this because there's so many different platforms rolling out and time consuming to learn it, especially as the, completely independent DIY artist. But those, content creators, if you can take some time and, balance your creativity along with the business side here, learning these tools, you might find a completely different ecosystem, and many have. So it's really interesting. And with that being said, it's our favorite time of the show.
Big green dot hits the spot.
The big green dot, it does hit the spot. It is time for our Spotify spot, where we take a look at the latest updates from the streaming service. But before we do that, we want to check in with your weather. Make sure to close your eyes only for this moment. Dust in the wind coming up in your forecast today. And now over to you, Peter. What is our Spotify spot today?
Wow, Dustin, what a great song. Oh man, I'm gonna have to go listen to that. That is one of those that's just a really good song. Well done. Eli's dancing here. If you're watching the live stream, there she right on. All right, so our Spotify spot, and this will wrap up for today's reads. Spotify kills the AirPlay 2 support, then backtracks after Backlash. A Spotify community thread requesting AirPlay 2 functionality for iOS went viral on Friday, and the notion was first proposed in 2019. And there has been a lot of talk about enabling AirPlay 2 since then. In response to the thread, a Spotify representative stated, quote, "We've discussed this idea internally, and while we are working on supporting AirPlay 2 in a proper way, we have decided to close it for now. The reason for this is that due to audio driver compatibility issues, this seems like a bigger project that we won't be able to complete in the foreseeable future." According to the original statement, Spotify is working on adding AirPlay 2 functionality in the future, but that's not a priority due to audio driver compatibility issues. However, on Saturday, the tweet went viral on Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook, which was infuriating the enthusiasts everywhere. Spotify then quickly confirmed their position. Quote, "To clarify, Spotify will support AirPlay 2, and the status of the request was changed from case closed to live idea," which Spotify, it goes to say that Spotify has been hesitant to embrace any aspect of the Apple ecosystem. And I mean, they have a lawsuit opened against Apple's App Store practices over in the EU. However, Spotify does not yet support the HomePod or HomePod Mini, and Spotify users with Apple devices have been requesting help for over a year. Meanwhile, Apple's competitors such as Deezer, Tidal, and iHeartRadio have welcomed the company's home speakers, and Spotify subscribers may also suffer as a result of the move. I mean, this is like they just don't want it. I mean, for them to say, "Oh, this is too troubling. There's driver compatibility issues. This seems like a bigger project." I mean, you're Spotify. There are other companies are doing it. Deezer's doing it. Tidal's doing it. You're Spotify. Come on, you can't say your programmers and developers couldn't make this happen. They probably already have it. They just have to flip the switch. Yeah, there's always going to be some issues. Okay, there's always compatibility issues, but if iHeart's doing it, Tidal's doing it, Deezer's doing it, you can do it too. So, and with that being said, that is the wrap of the reads. We're going to open up the roundtable. If anybody wants to jump up onto the stage with any comments, I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock here. And if anybody would like to come up, offer comments. Oh, wait, hold on. I see somebody. Okay, Billy over in the live stream. Oh, yeah, COVID really flipped live entertainment on its head. It's really different out there. And oh, yeah. So that was involved to the live sector. And then in regards to the AI writing your lyrics, she was saying, so if AI does all of that, who would get the Grammy? And that is a great question. This is something that has been in discussion when it comes to, AI and copyright, because there are already been companies that are writing music and doing soundtracks. So who owns the copyright is the question. And so it's a great question. Thank you,
Well,
Billy.
that begs the question too. Just for those of you who remember when Watson the computer played on Jeopardy, who kept Watson's winnings on Jeopardy? Certainly, Watson won a lot of money on Jeopardy. And if AI wrote the lyrics, if we are using computers to write the content, then indeed, who does own the copyright? Who wins the awards and who gets those residuals? Excellent questions.
I think I'm going to pull this up. There's an article on Music Industry City. So musicindustrycity.com, and I think it is. Oh, there is. Okay, so it's the one that's posted yesterday. So the article is 5 career tips you should always follow. All right. Now, I wrote this article, but there's a video. So I did a YouTube video for it. And so the article is 5 career tips you should always follow. The video, because YouTube has a specific formula they like to have as intros and everything. I actually used an AI to write the introduction to my video. And so I told the AI, this is my content. Here's everything I've written. Here's my content. And I want to make a YouTube video. Now, I'm not a good writer. And the YouTube videos, if you listen, it's like, in this video, I'm going to tell you 3 ways to do this. I'm going to do, it's like everything, it's a formula. And I put it into the AI saying, here's my information. Here's my entire content. Here's my blog post. Here's the title of it. Write me a video, a YouTube introduction script. And it did. And I read that. So if you want to see what an AI wrote, go and just check out that video. It's 5 career tips you should always follow. It's on our YouTube channel. It's also an article post on musicindustrycity.com. But everything else is me, but the AI wrote the intro, and it sounds just like every other standard YouTube video intro. So AI is getting really smart, and it learns. So also, when it comes to AIs, I always say thank you to Alexa when I ask her for something, because when the AI revolution comes, I want Alexa to be like, no, he was always kind to me. He was polite. He was very nice. Don't worry about him. So, and with that, Eli, any final thoughts then?
Any final thoughts from me? We invite all of you to join and share your final thoughts as well. And don't forget, you can chime in the chat, raise your hand to join the discussion, and be sure to tell your friends to join us each and every Monday through Thursday. Weekdays, we are here with the music news at noon. You can visit our website to stay up to date on all the current happenings in the music industry. You can join the community, and you can access other amazing resources. Our website, once again, is musicindustrycity.com. My name is Eli Wynn. Now, on behalf of my co-host, Peter Schwing, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining us today. And now, Peter, your final thoughts.
I already gave my final thoughts. I was like, yeah, I already did that.
I know,
I already went to my AI
can't
thing.
resist. I can't resist. You've got the last word if you'd like. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for the Music News at Noon from New York.
Right on. And you can also go, if you check out every morning that we do, so Monday through Thursday, every morning on the website, we post the articles that we are going to cover. So if there's something that you can check it out, if you're not registered at the website, it's free. Just sign up. You get our Sunday email, and then we send out an email on Wednesday. We're also got some big news coming up. We're going to have some live events, in-person events when it's safe. We've been talking about this, and unfortunately, it's something that we have to take care of and be safe. So everybody be safe, be smart, and have a great day. And we'll see you tomorrow.